in order to solve these problems, instead of multiplying by the least common denominator, I'm going to work these out one step at a time. I am going to multiply by the first denominator, whatever the first denominator is. That will cancel. In this case, it would be the x minus 7. That would cancel the x minus 7's there and there. What do I have left? The x minus 7's canceled, so I have 2x minus 9 plus x times x minus 7 over 2 equals 5. I still have a denominator of 2. So I'm going to multiply this first term by 2, and I'm going to multiply this by 2, and I'm going to multiply this by 2 to cancel out those 2's. Next step, distribute this 2. 4x minus 18 plus, these 2's cancel out, and I would need to have x squared minus 7x equals 10. Combine like terms. And so I see that I only have an x squared here, and so this is going to be x squared. These terms will combine for a minus 3x minus 18 equals 10. Since this x is squared, it's a quadratic, it needs to be equal to 0. I need to subtract 10 from both sides. X squared minus 3x plus 28 equals 0. The factors of 28 are 1 and 28, 2 times 14, and 4 times 7. And so if the signs go in like that, this will equal to the negative 3. X plus 4x minus 7 equals 0. So x plus 4 equals 0, x minus 7 equals 0. So x equals negative 4 and x equals 7. Except that I forgot to do my not equals part right here. And so x minus, this is the first denominator, it cannot equal 0. And so 2 can't equal 0, so I don't have to worry about that. So right here it says x cannot equal to 7, so this x equals 7 goes over here in the extraneous part of my answer blank. So in order to simplify this solving a little bit, instead of trying to find a common denominator, I'm just going to multiply by the first denominator. So I'm going to multiply this by x, and I'm going to multiply this by x, and I'm going to multiply this by x in order to cancel out. This x cancels out that x. And so then I will have a 15 plus 9x minus 7 times x over x plus 2 equals 9x. I left a space there because I'm going to have to come back and multiply by x over 2 to cancel out that denominator. If I multiply this term by x over 2, I have to multiply this term by, I said x over 2, but I meant x plus 2. And so I have to multiply everything by x plus 2. I do that in order to cancel out the x plus 2's. Then I'm going to have 15 times x plus 2. I just switched the order to make it a little bit easier to see the distributive. I'm going to have x times 9x minus 7, and I'm going to have 9x, x plus 2. I'm going to distribute 15x plus 30 plus 9x squared minus 7x equals 9x squared plus 18x. So I need to combine like terms. I see a 9x squared on both sides. So when I combine those, the x squareds cancel out. And so then these are like terms. So when I combine those, they're on the same side of the equal sign. So that's 8x plus 30. Those canceled out. That combined with the 15 equals 18x. Subtract 8 from both sides. 30 equals 10x. Divide by 10 and x equals 3. From the denominators, the first denominator cannot equal 0, the second denominator cannot equal 0, and I don't have any extraneous answers in this particular problem. Problem number 16. The first denominator is a 2x. I'm going to multiply every term by a 2x. When you multiply everything by a 2x, this 2x cancels that 2x, and I have a 1 minus. This x cancels that x, and 2 times 2 is 4 over 5. This 2 cancels that 2, so that would be equal to x. And so then I can go ahead and multiply everything by 5 to cancel out that. And so I have 5 minus 4 equals 5x. Of course, 5 minus 4 is 1. Divide by the 5, and so x equals 1 over 5. 2x cannot be equal to 0. Divide by the 2, so the x cannot be equal to 0. And so there are no extraneous answers. The next problem is a little bit different in that I'm not solving for x, I'm trying to find the value of a. But I still need to cancel out those denominators. So I'm going to multiply the first term times x plus 3, and this term by x plus 3, and this term by x plus 3. That cancels those x plus 3's and leaves a negative 8. This will cancel one of those, and so I will have 8x over x plus 3 equals a. This will cancel one of those, x plus 3. So one of them gets, I'm sorry, there you go. Maybe you can see what I'm doing here. And so this cancels one of those, and I have a over x plus 3. This cancels one of those, and I have 8x over x plus 3. And then on the first term, I just have the negative 8. Need to multiply by x plus 3 to cancel out this denominator and this denominator. So here I have a negative 8 times x plus 3. That denominator canceled out, and so I have an 8x equals to the a. Distribute minus. when I combine like terms, those are on the same side of the equal sign, so those cancel out. And so A is equal to negative 24.